Shan wanted some catfish. I'm going noodling. I'm gonna catch her one. Hang on. Got him! Oh, wrong thing. Stick around. I'm gonna show you how to make a crispy fried catfish. You know, folks, I've been cooking on ranches a long time, 24, 25 years. And I started out a long time ago by doing things that I wanted to do on certain nights. Some nights, chicken fry nights. Some nights, steak night. But every Friday is fish night if I'm cooking. And I take them catfish fillets out there and I cook them up on Friday. And I remember one of the first ranches on, I'd had an old man come up there. They ain't seen many fish on the wagon. He looked at me and he said, "Them fish, boy?" I said, "Yes, sir, they are." He said, "What's the deal?" Now, the old man come to me after he ate them 3 fillets, and he told me, he said, "Young fella, them fish was good. I'm glad you did it. But I'll tell you right now, be careful. Don't be breaking out no chickens tomorrow night." So I'm going to tell you how I pleased them old men and many a cowboy on a Friday night fish fry. We didn't have to wet a hook, although I would really love to. Fishing is some of the greatest things that I've ever done and really calming on your mind. But if you can go wet your hook at a local farm pond and you can get this done, hey, there ain't nothing better. But be sure and clean that catfish good, rinse him good, get him good and clean before you start. Say you live in one of them places you ain't got no water and you ain't got no fishing pole, but you got a grocery store. Go to your grocery store, go back down there to the meat end of it. Some of y'all even live in a place to where they have a fish counter. If not, go to the frozen food section and look. A lot of them will be sitting in a package, 2 at a time, just like that. They'll be frozen, you can see them, and it'll say on there, farmed, raised, local catfish. Now, I prefer them over about anything, but I want to tell you, look in that package when you're looking really good through that clear cellophane. Make sure there isn't a big old dark streak right here. That's what I call a mud line. I'm going to rinse him good because I don't know when he last took a bath. So I'm going to rinse him really well. Some good clean water. We'll dump that out right here. You can't do that in the kitchen floor. Your wife will get on to you, I promise. Take them fillets and if you can, let that water drip off of them a minute. Just lay them out here. Get that water off of them. I think it actually helps that coating bond to that fish better. You leave that water on there, to me you get more of a fishy aftertaste. This way we're going to get a good golden crust that's going to stick on there. So let's just go ahead and mix this up. We're going to start with about a cup of cornmeal to about 1/3 of a cup of flour. Why you say flour? It's going to help get some of that moisture out of there. Then we're going to add us some Red River Ranch seasoning. How much? I'd say pretty close, starting out with about a tablespoon. You can just batter them just like this. Just roll them in this and fry them. But I like to let it stick a hold a little more than that. So we're going to dip them in something else. Cornstarch. Now, take a tablespoon of cornstarch, put her in there, about a teaspoon of baking powder, because I want it to go whoop and jump up there a little. What is this? Tablespoon of buttermilk powder. Now you might can find this out at the grocery store, but I like to use it in a lot of things. I got mine off the good folks at Amazon. Just make sure it's a good brand. And we're going to add a cup of warm water. If you'd rather go to a milk and egg or a buttermilk and egg, but I found this to make a good golden crust that'll stick on there, harder than a turtle shell. I usually try to cut them in about thirds, like in so, and so. Now, if you want to cut them smaller than that, they'll fry quicker. They sure will. Here we go. In the little new concoction that we dreamed up there. Buttermilk powder, baking powder, little cornstarch, cornmeal and flour and the original seasoning. One time. But he needs a double dipping, he does. Back over here. This one here has got a coat on. He is ready to do armor and battle in this deep fryer. A good frying oil is about as good important thing as how have you took care of your fish before you got him in the deep fryer. Now I like to use a creamy fry oil, and I buy a lot of it because You know me, we fry a lot of them big old chicken fries up. Go to Sam's or Costco's or something like that. Can't find that. You can use canola oil, peanut oil. Be sure you have an oil that's got a good high temperature to it, a burn temperature, and you'll be good to go. What you're frying in, not just the oil, but also what's holding that oil, is very important. Now, you get something that's thin-walled, you're going to burn it a lot of times. I always try to deep fry in a piece of cast iron if I got it handy. And let me tell you another tip. You got an old Dutch oven or something that needs a little help in that seasoning process to get it along? Deep fry you something in that rascal and it will help it a great deal. But when you heat that oil to that temperature and that long and continue to fry something, cast iron is just wrapping its arms around it saying, thank you, love, thank you. Oil is $3.50. I like this part right here because when you put it in there, you get that sound. And that sound means, woo, honey bunch, we're fitting to eat a little something. Be sure and regulate that fire a little. Sometimes when you go to putting that cold fish in there, you're going to drop that oil temperature just a little. So always keep an eye on that when you first start them others to going. Now after they get to going just a little, I like to stir them around just a tad to make sure that ain't none of them trying to cling together. That way that crust is really good on all sides. And it don't take it long and it go to making a crust. And you'll see it begin to float to the top. Oh, we're getting pretty close there, folks. We are. We got some stragglers over here that's going to be just a little while. Looky there, folks. There, that is what I call a good crust on a piece of fish. We're going to put him over here on this paper towel to cool just a minute and let his buddies catch up. If you're doing multiple batches of frying this fish in a deep fryer, get you one of these little deals here. They're pretty good. It'll sort of scoop out them crumbs if something falls off. But this batter right here that we just made, stuff do like to stick on their wells. I want y'all to hear this crust when it crack. See, that crust is stuck on there all the way through. Fish good and white. I'm going to put me a little drizzle down here where I can dip it in. Now I wish... Is it hot, Big? Woo! Folks, that there was a jumper. He is still alive. But anywhere you break it, you can see that crust is stuck a hole. I wish y'all was here to try this because this is what I call good fillet catfish with a good crust, good little sauce. Remember now, good fry oil to start with, something that ain't gonna burn. A good vessel to fry it in. I recommend cast iron or a heavy deep fryer. Do you got one? Whew, have a fish fry. Invite the people over. Have a good time. We thank you for stopping by. Me and Shan don't take it for granted. The beagle is okay. The hot fish didn't burn him up, I promise. He's eat worse stuff. God bless you each and every one, and do me a favor now, please. Hit the subscribe button. But while we're waiting on this fish to cool off just a minute, I like a red tater, I do. And I like to fry them in that fish grease. Now, I'm going to cut them really thin. We're not going to slice all the way through. This is ventilated potato. Then I like to take him and cut him right through here one time. He's got all this little stuff going on here. He's going to smile here in a minute. We're going to throw him right in there